to the Fabulous Health Cooking Show. This show helps you have confidence in the kitchen so that you can cook healthy, nutritious, and delicious meals that will help you live a long, happy life and age with grace and vitality. My name's Terry Chrisman. I'm a whole food, plant-based nutritionist, and you can find more about me and what I offer at fabuloushealth.net. And I'm joined today by my partner in crime, Susie Ann Lybarger, who lost over 55 pounds on a whole food, plant-based diet. Hello, lovely Susie. How are you today, darling?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Terry. How are you?
Good, thank you. It's episode 2 today, and we are making what?
We are making black bean and corn salsa and cauliflower wings.
Cauliflower wings. Now, I'm making cauliflower wings too. We're going to do it like we did last week, a tag team. You're going to make your recipe. I'm going to make my recipe. I'm going to post the recipes in the comments afterwards. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments if you're watching this live. And if you're watching the replay, just type #replay. Now, there is a little guest in your kitchen making a little bit of noise today.
Yeah, my little grandson. He'll be going nighty-night shortly here.
He wants to know what Mima's doing, doesn't he? Well, that's fine. So you're making cauliflower wings and salsa, and I'm going to make cauliflower wings and zucchini falafels. And there's a little caveat about my zucchini falafels. I've never made these before. They popped up on my Alexa, and I thought, oh, they look good. I might make those while we're at it. Now, when people think about wings, I've got to tell you, Susie, I've never eaten a wing before.
You know, I think I've had maybe 2 chicken wings my whole life. I'm not a big wing eater either when I eat chicken. I never ate it.
But these wings are made out of cauliflower. They're very, very fake, and you're watching sporting events or you come home and you want a snack, and they're just good for parties and finger food and things like that.
Mm-hmm. They're delicious. You're breaking up, Terry, a little bit, so I don't know if you're waiting for me to talk or not.
Yes. Okay, so let's get started. What do we need, Susie Ann?
Okay, you're going to want to get a head of cauliflower, breadcrumbs. I'm using oat flour and water to make the batter, because what I do is I cut the cauliflower into bite-sized pieces, and then I dip it in a batter, and I'm just going to use oat flour and water to make like a thicker, whatever. It depends on how thick you want it, but you can just add enough water till it gets to like a pancake batter. And then I'll take the cauliflower and I'll dip it in that, and then I coat it in the breadcrumbs and put them on a cookie sheet with parchment paper, and in the oven they go. And what I do is I take my breadcrumbs and I'll put in a little bit of onion powder, some garlic powder, some pepper, and today my son and I, we added a little bit of dill because we wanted to see, it's a big thing in Texas is fried pickles, which we don't do fried, but we love the fried texture of pickles. And so we put a little bit of dill in our breadcrumbs today to see how it's going to turn out. So I'll have to let you know.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a recipe that is a modification from a Vegan Richer recipe. Vegan Richer, if you've never heard of her, she's fantastic. Go to veganricher.com. I love her. And I'm modifying it to take out the oil and also to switch it up a little bit. I'm using chickpea flour. Now, we talk about whole food plant-based without being processed and not using any flour. Chickpea flour is basically dried chickpeas put in the blender. So if you wanted to, you could get your dried chickpeas, shove them in the blender and make the flour just like Susie Ann's going to do with her oats. But you know what? I don't have time for that. And
I'm just cheating. I'm using oat flour today. I'm not going to make my I'm cheating a little bit today.
So you can be a little bit lazy, and this amount of processing is okay. What you want to look out for is that the fiber is stripped out of the flour, and that's the flour you don't want to use. So that's all your white flours, your enriched flours. You want to always, if you're going to get some kind of flour, make sure the ingredients are whole oats, chickpeas, whole wheat. That's it. You don't want to have enriched wheat flour with, you know, added whatever's, I don't even know what they put in them. So I'm doing a small one, and normally I don't measure. I don't know about you. Do you measure, Susie Ann?
Not really.
Not really.
But I'm going to start cutting this cauliflower up to bite-sized pieces.
Right. So I already did that while you were talking. I'm using a half a cup, and I'm sorry, again, you can't see what I'm doing there. It goes in that little bowl. And then into mine, I'm adding all my spices straight into here. Mine's a little bit different. So the first thing I'm going to use, and I'll just get myself on screen here. The first thing I'm going to use is garlic powder. Now, you can make this however you like. You can put whatever seasonings, well, you can't see that. That's Southwest Chipotle, Southwest seasoning. You can put whatever seasonings you like in this. I like to make it a bit spicy. There's some smoked paprika. And I'm putting in this half a cup, I'm putting about half a teaspoon of each of these spices. And if you wanted to make a lot for a bunch of people, maybe you double it up, yeah? So I'm using onion powder. Oh, that was a lot. That was like more than a teaspoon. And so you can put all those spices in there, and I'm just going to mix them up. This is how quick this is, people. It's insane. And then I'm just going to get a quarter cup of water. And I'm getting my water from the tap because I'm in Tahoe, and Tahoe tap water is the cleanest water on the planet. So you don't need to filter it. And as you see, as I'm doing this, look at that, it's just turning into a dough. That's not enough. So I'm going to get, Susie Ann, you're so noisy. What are you doing?
I'm stirring my batter, sorry. I need to use softer utensils.
And then I've just put in the other quarter cup. So basically what I've done is equal parts chickpea flour and equal parts water. And see that? Even that, I would say, is a little bit too thick. So I'm going to put a little bit more water on and bring you back in, Susie.
Okay, here's my batter. It's kind of like a thinner pancake batter consistency. And then what I do is I just take my little cauliflowers about this big and put them in a big bowl.
Little man's excited. He can't wait to have those cauliflowers.
He can't wait to take his nap.
Yeah. So there's my consistency now. That's a little bit better.
Cauliflower. Just dump it all in there. We like a lot of this coating, and it's makes them so crispy and delicious when they come out of the oven.
Yep. So I'm going to throw mine in my little itty bitty air fryer. So I'm just dipping them and chucking them in. Let me get some tongs.
I'm just coating these really good in the batter.
Yep.
Just kind of massage it around a little bit and get all the surface area coated. And then I've got my breadcrumbs ready. Actually, no, I got to put some seasoning in there.
So this is so quick. I mean, it just happens in an instant. So if you have like friends coming over and they want a snack, and instead of grabbing a, packet of corn chips and salsa, you can whip these guys out in, 15, 20 minutes. And it's just so much yummier and healthier than that fried stuff.
Okay, I'm just putting in about a half a teaspoon of onion powder. And half a teaspoon of garlic powder.
Yeah, that's kind of ubiquitous in everything we make, isn't it?
Yes. I love garlic powder. Well, I love onion and garlic powder. It pretty much does go into everything. And then I'm just going to eyeball the dill weed. You don't have to put this in. We're just experimenting today.
Yeah. So mine's spicy and yours is not spicy, correct?
No, mine's not going to be spicy. And I'm not going to put a coating of sauce on my cauliflower. I'm just going to bake it with the breading on it, and then we're going to dip it. We'll be able to dip it into like some kind of a, I've got this sauce from, where is it?
Susie's disappeared. So I put mine into my air fryer for 10 minutes, and then they came out and they look like this. Now, they're not ready yet. I'm going to make a sauce that I'm going to paint on top of them, and then I'm going to put them in the air fryer again. So my sauce is really, really simple. I get my blender and I get some mango, and the sweeter the mango, the better. I'm just going to chuck a bunch of mango in here. And then I've got some chili garlic sauce, which is basically just chili and garlic. I'm going to stick some of that in. I was going to use sriracha, but did you know that sriracha is full of sugar?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I did, until I opened up, I looked at the bottle and it was full of sugar. Then I'm going to add this. Susie Ann told me about this during the week. And I've got the classic barbecue sauce. And this stuff has no sugar in it, no gums, no nasties. I'm just going to shove some of that in. And then I'm going to taste it. And if I need to, I might add some of this organic unsweetened ketchup with jalapenos in it. So I'm going to blend. Susie, I'm going to mute myself and you can start telling people what you're doing.
Okay, I've got my breadcrumbs and my onion powder and my garlic powder and my dill all mixed in. Now I'm just taking the pieces of cauliflower out of the batter and giving them a good coating of this bread crumb mixture and putting them on a cookie sheet. And you want to space them. They can be close together, but you don't want them touching really a lot. So you want the air to be able to circulate all the way around them, so they get nice and crispy. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this meal is so quick and easy to prepare. It literally takes, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes from start to finish. And then I bake mine in the oven for 45 minutes, but I did pre-make some earlier that I'm going to show you guys how good they come out. And the crispiness is really epic. I love a good crunchy, crispy breading coating. And this is just perfect. Go ahead.
The thing about using breadcrumbs is that you want to use bread that is whole food and that doesn't have milk in it and that doesn't have eggs in it and doesn't have sugar in it. Ezekiel bread is really good for that. Or if you make, of course, your own bread using whole wheat flour. Susie, back to you. I'm going to use my blender again.
Okay. So this is what my wings look like, or my cauliflower wings look like. And they're just, close together but not touching so the air can get all the way around them. And what I really love about these wings is the texture. They actually have a really firm texture, almost like you're eating a real chicken wing. So this is my before. And I have some here that I finished. These ones I just took out of the oven a little bit ago.
Let's have a look at those.
I don't know if you're going to think this is weird, but I really want you guys to hear this crunch. So I'm gonna eat one, and I want you to hear this crispy crunch. I don't know if you can hear it.
No, not really.
But they're so good.
That's good. Okay, well, let me show people what I'm doing. I have painted my my cauliflower wings. Why am I even saying chicken? I love chickens. I'm never eating a chicken. And I've painted them with my sauce. And then these guys are going to go back in the air fryer for 10 minutes. And then when they're finished, you can paint more sauce on them and eat them as is. All right, Susie Ann, you chuck yours in the air fryer. And then we'll start. And then we'll, your oven. Sorry, I meant the oven. You chuck yours in your oven. And then we'll start making our second thing while everything's getting ready to go. So I'm going to make I'm a bit of a mess here at the moment. I'm glad you can't see it, because that's the beauty of television or whatever, that other people can't see your messes. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to make zucchini falafels. As I said, I've not seen this. I've not tried this recipe before. I've just seen it on Alexa. So I'm going to take 2 cups of zucchini, and I think maybe 1.5 of these guys, and I'm just going to grate it. What are you up to there, lovely?
I'm just getting ready to start on my. Okay, so I'm making a black bean and corn salsa, and it calls for. Let me open this recipe up here. This is the first time I'm making this. My daughter-in-law makes this. She has olive oil in it, and I don't do olive oil. So, and I tasted it. It was so good. But I'm going to try to make it today without the olive oil in it. So, it just calls for, here's the bowl I'm going to put it all in. This is just 1 can of corn, just a regular sized can of corn. Okay. And then here's 1 can of black beans that are rinsed and drained, because you don't want the juice of the bean to be in there because it'll mess up the color of everything. So rinse and drain your beans. Put those in the bowl. And then it calls for 1 cup of chopped red onion. So I have to chop this onion up. Let me grab a knife. I thought I was ready. So I will just chop about 1 cup of this red onion, and I'm going to try to chop it pretty fine because I like little onion chunks in my salsa, not great big onion chunks.
Well, while you're chopping that onion, I'm going to tell everybody what I did. I grated my zucchini and I stuck it in a colander and I tried to squeeze the water out. It kind of didn't work. The recipe says cover it in salt and leave it for 30 minutes. And the reason why it says that is to suck all the water out. But we're not going to do that because I don't want salt in my thing. We're just going to wing it and see what happens. I've got some chickpeas, otherwise known as garbanzo beans. Now, I've used the ones with the non-BPA liner. Have a look here. Non-BPA liner, and I've gone organic. Now, these are low sodium, but what I did is I rinsed them really, really, really well to get any of the additional sodium out of them. I couldn't buy the salt-free ones. It says in the recipe to blend it. I don't want it all soft and smooth, so I'm going to mush it with my potato masher and see how that goes, because there's nothing better than trying something new live on video and have it probably not work. But whatever, who cares, right? It doesn't really matter, does it, Susie Ann?
It doesn't matter.
And that's what I want to tell that's what I want to tell everybody. You know, the thing that people ask me all the time is, you know, I post a plate of vegetables and somebody says, can you post the recipe? And I'm just like, what? Recipe schmecipe. The thing about plant-based cooking is that it is basically preparation techniques, and you just use basic skills, put some stuff together, see how it tastes, and go from there. Now, having said all that, I can tell you right now, Susie Ann, I should have blended these chickpeas. This is not working. Okay. Hang on, I'm going to make a noise.
Okay.
So
I'm just trying to measure.
Zucchini fritters, don't smash them, blend them.
Okay, and I'm still working on this red onion. Like I said, I like little pieces of onion in my salsa, not great big chunks.
Yeah, that's good.
So
I'm going to add, if I can open this packet, maybe not.
And you can probably tell by the way I'm chopping, I'm not a pro. Anybody can do this, even if you're not a pro.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't have to be a professional. You just have to be able to
get that mess on there.
Things.
So I'm going to get a couple of cloves of garlic, shove this in here.
Okay, so that's
like that.
Tell you what, this is 1 potent onion.
Now, we often, talk about the equipment that we have. And, you know, I'm using an air fryer and I'm using a high-speed blender and I'm using a garlic press. And, you know, all these pieces of equipment, they do cost a lot of money, except for this garlic press, which was like $1.95. And you don't really need, in the beginning, you don't need all the expensive equipment. So, for example, I have 2 air fryers. One costs $400 and one costs $50. So I bought my $50 one first, and then I decided that I loved it so much that I would buy the more expensive one. Blenders. Look, I think if you're doing plant-based eating, I think if anything, you should probably save up for a high-quality blender. I really like Blend Tech. You can get them on my website. I've used Blend Tech for about 10 years. I have a Blend Tech blender that I bought in Hong Kong in 2007, and it's still kicking on. And not only that, it's 240 volt, and I use it in my kitchen in America, and I just use a transformer with it, which I'm sure Blend Tech wouldn't be happy about, but it works perfectly. They have a lifetime guarantee, and they are expensive. But you know what? When it's Black Friday or it's Prime Day or something like that, you can, if you save your bucks, you can usually get your blender a lot less expensive. So I'm going to add some where am I? I'm going to add some cumin to mine, and I'm going to add half a teaspoon.
Oh, I am not a chopper.
Here, you're okay, darling.
Everybody.
You're okay. Half a teaspoon of
recovering
cumin.
from the onion.
I'm going to add half a teaspoon of chili powder, which is not coming out. There we go. And because I was a numpty and I didn't blend my chickpeas, I'm left with this, which is not going to form anything. So I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of chickpea. Oh, I just splashed water all over me. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of chickpea flour. I'm going to go to my fridge, and I'm going to get some flax meal, which is also a binder. And I'm going to mix that up, and that should hold everything together. I'm not keen on adding any water at this stage because I couldn't get the water out of my zucchini. So I think it's going to be wet enough. And it's starting to come together.
I got to grab a sharper knife. This one's just not quite cut.
All right. So now it looks more like a dough. And then I'm going to wet my hands. And I'm going to use my ice cream scoop. Oh, I'm going to use my ice cream scoop to scoop out this ice cream scoop amount. And then I'm just going to make little balls like that. Whoops. And then these guys will go in the air fryer. Let me get a plate. Now, again, if you don't have an air fryer, it doesn't matter. You can just use your oven. And you can, you know, even, look, I used to live in Hong Kong and people didn't even have ovens in their kitchens. So people would buy like little toaster ovens that sat on the counter and they do everything in them. It's absolutely fine. You don't need all the fancy equipment, but if you do have it, it does make your life somewhat easier.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Especially the blender.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's talk about equipment. Susie Ann, what would be, if you were starting eating plant-based, what would be the 3 pieces of kitchen equipment that you would say would be essential?
Well, definitely what you were talking about earlier, blender.
Yep.
I just happen to have a Vitamix blender that I've had for, oh my gosh, I've had this blender probably for almost 10 years. And the base of it, I mean, the original blender I got, I actually didn't even use it for cooking. I used it for when we were working doing concrete, and I had to mix different chemicals in this blender that were cement based, and this thing kicked butt doing that.
Wow. So
when I got out of doing that and got into this cooking, I knew I needed a Vitamix blender. I just got a new top. I just bought the new
jug.
And that base.
Don't use the same jug as toxic chemicals.
It is still going. and I use it a lot.
Okay, so blender's number one. What else?
It would be a blender. A food processor definitely is number two. Gosh, the pieces of equipment I use the most is a blender, a food processor. Oh, gosh, equipment.
All right, I'm going to help you.
I have a Nutri-Milk machine, which I use crazy because I make my own almond milk, but those are pretty pricey.
Yeah, it is pretty pricey. But, okay, so let's talk about that. You have a blender and a Nutri-Milk machine. You can make your almond milk in your blender if you don't want to buy two pieces of equipment. You also have a blender and a food processor. Now, I know food processors don't chop up as finely as a blender, and that's why people want them. But you can also, if you don't want to buy a blender and a food processor, you can just use your blender and use the pulse button and stop it blending. And you'll get a larger, more chunky chop. So that's three pieces of equipment that you can distill down to one if you want. Certainly, I would say air fryer, but again, you can use an oven or a toaster oven. And the other one, which we haven't mentioned, which is, I would say, an essential and probably the least expensive thing, is an Instant Pot.
Yes.
You can get an Instant Pot for $60 on Amazon. When it's, Prime Day or sale day or every day, because you're in America, there's always a sale, soon it's going to be back to school, after that it's going to be Black Friday. There's always sales on, and you can get yourself the Instant Pot, and I think the Instant Pot's a really good investment as well. But again, if you can't afford it or it's not in your budget or you don't want extra equipment, you can use a pot on the stove. Susie Ann, all yours. I am going to head over to my fryer to see what's going on.
Okay, so I've got my corn in here, my black beans, my red onion, and doesn't that look so pretty? Now we have to put in, she calls for jalapenos in here, which I can't do anything spicy, so I don't put any jalapeno peppers in mine. 1/4 cup of cilantro, which I didn't happen to get fresh cilantro, so I'm just going to eyeball maybe a tablespoon of cilantro and throw in here. Thank goodness for dry cilantro. So that's that. And then stir this in. And then it's calling for 1/4 cup of lime juice. I will get that in here. Measuring cups right here. 1/4 cup of lime juice. I can get this open. Sorry, everybody. I did not realize the cap was on this thing still, and I have to break this little seal. There we go. So we'll put 1/4 cup. Sorry, everybody. 1/4 cup of lime juice. And I like a little extra zing, so I just put a little extra in there. And then it calls for cumin, olive oil, which I'm leaving out, salt I'm leaving out, and a little bit of black pepper. And that's it. So I think this is going to be really good. Let me get the cumin. Thought I had it out. Sorry, everybody.
So while Susie's, no, I didn't mute myself. Good. While Susie's doing that, I just want to bring to everybody's attention that I forgot a major ingredient, and that is a whole bunch of coriander or cilantro, depending on who you talk to. So I've just undone my bowls and I'm starting again. So there it is. It's all in there now. And I just put them back in, and now I'm just making my balls again. And these are going to go in the air fryer in a second. So that's just another thing. If you forget ingredients, it doesn't matter. You can either leave them out, unless they're essential, or you can just put, like I've done, just threw all my balls back in the bowl, squidged them up again, and made the falafels again. And it's only taking me an extra 2 minutes. This is what happens when you get distracted when you're live on the camera.
Oh my gosh, exactly. And then I'm just going to put maybe a teaspoon of pepper in, half a teaspoon of pepper.
that peppermill. That's pretty
Oh,
funky.
isn't this cool? My son got these. Sur La Table is the brand name. Sur La Table.
Cool.
Sur La Table.
Yeah, I don't know.
Table to me on the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so this is the corn salsa. No oil, no salt, no sugar.
That looks really yummy, darling.
I have to taste it. But I don't have a chip here to taste it with. But it smells amazing. The cumin, I think, is really what does it. Because it's just, I love cumin.
Now,
Right.
about spices, let's talk about spices. When you're on a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, spices are everything. You want to spice your food to your taste. So, for example, Susie's like not adding any chili. I'm adding tons of chili. If the recipe calls for chili, you don't want it, don't put it in. If it doesn't call for chili and you want it spicy, put it in. If you don't like smoked paprika, use normal paprika. If you don't like garlic, don't put it in. It's all right. Don't be scared of a recipe because it's got some spice or herb in it that you don't like. So, for example, Susie's putting in dill.
Yeah.
You could put in maybe basil,
Rosemary.
maybe not. I don't know.
Rosemary.
Yep, rosemary would be nice.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else she could put in there.
Any green herb, parsley would be good as well. Probably maybe coriander. Sorry, cilantro. Just so that you know, they're the same thing. Although somebody has told me that cilantro is the green part and coriander is the seed.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I don't know who told me that, but somebody did. But in Australia, we call everything that's that plant coriander. So
Anyway, this is the
doesn't
finished
matter.
product.
So
And we'll post the recipe below when we're all done. Isn't that pretty?
I want some of that. I wish you could come through the TV.
I know. I wish.
These are my balls. I probably could have chopped up that green a little bit more, but you know, who cares? Now, the other thing is these are falafels. You can leave them round or you can squash them out and make them into little patties. It's up to you. And they're going to go in the air fryer in a minute too.
What sauce do you use for those falafels? Are you using the barbecue?
No. So falafels, I would use a tahini-based sauce. So I would get, in fact, maybe I'll just do it now. So I would get some tahini and I would get some lemon juice and what else would I put in there? That's about all, actually. I think tahini and lemon juice would be enough just to drizzle on top of the falafels. I don't think you need a ton of ingredients. So
and some of the best sauces are so simple. You know, you don't have to put a lot of stuff in, just a couple of ingredients. And I mean, it's the simpler the better to me.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to pull out my wingies and see how they are.
Okay. And I'm kind of done on my side.
So here's one of my wingies. He looks lovely. I'm going to paint him, even though he's come out with the mango salsa on, I'm going to paint him again with more mango salsa and taste him straight out of the air fryer. Probably going to burn my mouth.
Looks really good. Product one's back over here. Ta-da!
Really nice. Now, what sauce do you put on yours?
I have, let me run over here and see if I put it in the refrigerator. I did. I use Primal Kitchen. This is their Hawaiian barbecue sauce. It is so delicious. And they sweeten it, but it's sweetened with dates.
And pineapple, hopefully.
It does. Tomato
And you're out
puree,
of camera again.
pineapple juice, date
Susie.
puree.
Susie, get in camera.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God. This is live, you guys. Sorry. Yellow mustard, turmeric, paprika, smoke flavor, What is ancho powder? I'm not sure what ancho powder is.
Chili. Ancho is a chili.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and you can use whatever you like. If you like it to be, you know how sometimes they do wings with creamy sauce and a spicy sauce. You could make your own creamy sauce out of cashews and maybe some apple cider vinegar, maybe some lemon juice, maybe some mustard, so that you make your own kind of creamy mayo-y thing. Or if you didn't want to use cashews because of the fat, you could use tofu. Same deal. You could go tofu, apple cider vinegar, mustard, lemon juice, or lime juice, and that would be really nice as your creamy sauce.
I can get it to come out. But we like to just cook them plain and then dip them. So good.
Nice. Well, I'm going to stick my falafels in the air fryer. I am going to flip them. So I'm going to go 10 minutes on one side and then between 5 and 7 minutes on the other side. And hang on. Oh, my poor computer's covered in fingerprints now. I'm just putting 5 in there so they're not crowded. And then they will come out in about 10 minutes. So, Susie Ann, thank you again for another fantastic episode of the Fabulous Health Show. You were awesome as usual.
We made it through it.
If anybody has any questions at all, please post them in the comments and we will answer them after all our things come out of the oven and the air fryer. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.